Hey guys, welcome back to Coffee and Crystals. I'm your hostess, Kadie Cronister, and on this podcast, you are joining me for a yoga class. I'm a yoga teacher. I have 500 hours of yoga teacher credentials with Marianne Wells of Really Real Yoga. I've traveled the world studying yoga and practicing yoga for over 15 years. I am also a serial entrepreneur, so we talk about the entrepreneur mindset. Purpose is a big category on this show. I support mental health, and all in all, I like to have fun. I like to share my stories. I am working on my first book, and this year is a very important year because I also turned 40. So welcome to all my wisdom, my jokes. I think I'm funny. Hopefully you guys think I'm funny. If you think I'm funny, give me a shout out either on social media or just, I don't know, share some love. This world needs more love. It is Saturday in West Hollywood. I had all the plans to get this episode out for you on season 4 before this morning, but if you're going to be listening with me in real time on Saturday, we are in the first Saturday of spring. We are still in the Mercury Retrograde, and some of you are probably like, what does it actually even mean to be in Mercury Retrograde? Well, it's basically an optical illusion, which is funny because that phrase came up in a meeting with my uncle and my cousin this week because we were trying to line up this category on this slide that I'm helping him with for a teaching course that he's providing down in West Palm Beach for people who are basically working on planes. It's like a whole marketing project with the FAA, no big deal. But anyway, we were trying to line up A, B, C, D, E, F, and we were like, why can't the F line up with the other letters? And my uncle was like, oh, that it actually is lined up. It's an optical illusion. And I was like, oh my gosh, we're in the middle of one right now. So that is kind of what Mercury retrograde is. It refers to this period of time when Mercury appears to be moving backwards. And this got me thinking in kind of like a rhetorical yoga philosophy way, like what in your life are you looking at or perceiving that looks like an optical illusion? Like, it feels a little crazy to believe in. I know that I can relate to that when it comes to even just this podcast. Like, call me crazy, but I think this is gonna be the #1 podcast one day. Like, I truly deep down feel like, and it's not about being #1, I just really feel like my message and my story is going to reach a lot of people one day. So that could be like an optical illusion in my life that might sound or look or feel really crazy when I'm pitching it, but it's actually my truth and the truth, but the universe will always be the one to tell us that. So that's kind of your first yoga thought of the podcast. Is I challenge you guys over the first weekend of spring to think about your life as Mercury retrograde. What might look like it's moving backwards, but you might honestly be moving forward. And another question I wanted to pose to the group. So stop for a minute. First off, make sure that you're following the podcast. It's a free way to support me. Another thing that the algorithm really likes is comments. I also need to keep you guys listening. So by providing comments and giving me feedback, either on the show or emailing me at TheKadieWay@gmail.com, you're giving me some nuggets and you're helping and supporting me grow by telling me what would keep you on the show longer. So listen, and also just sharing the show to people that you think that might benefit from a wellness, fun, everybody welcome community here at Coffee and Crystals. But this week's question, we're going to start doing that because it was one of our favored guest birthdays this week, Ron Wells. Ron Wells is a father, a husband to Marianne Wells, my yoga teacher. He teaches yoga philosophy and anatomy. He's like a scientist mind, and it was his birthday this week. But not only was it his birthday, it's kind of like one of those cool, like, aha moments, I guess you call it, is I was talking on Coffee and Crystals on my social media and giving a shout out to Ron because he was the #1 guest listened ever on the show. And I was on a training course that Spotify for Podcasters was sharing, like how to up your podcast this year and like giving like nuggets. And it was saying like, don't just share about your old shows, share about your new shows, or don't just share about your new shows, but share also about your old shows and like give guests shout outs and kind of bring back old episodes for your listeners, because it's all about consumption time on these things. But anyway, when looking at those analytics, Ron Wells still holds the #1 spot. So we talked about yoga philosophy on that show. It's called Sutras and Shit with Ron Wells. So go back and listen to it. Just be mindful that that was back when the podcast just began. So not only was he one of the first guests, I was new at all of this. So I'm excited to have him back on for Sutras and Shit #2 to talk about yoga philosophy. But with all that said, to drum up the question is because I want your guys' feedback on, and it's a rhetorical question I'm going to ask you guys, but I need you to DM me, shout out on Instagram, on social media. If you're watching on YouTube, leave it in the comments. But here's the Sutra question of the week that we will bring Ron back and we'll talk about this as a group, and it will be a discussion. So that is, drum roll please, no, the rhetorical question of the week: is it better to be well-liked or well-respected? Let me say that again. In your mind and in your life, just your gut first instinct answer to this question, do you feel like it is better to be liked or well-respected? I was thinking about this question, and I feel like for me, well, actually, I'll share how I feel when we get Ron back on the show. But please, I need to get all your feedback, and I need my panelists out there in the community to get back to me on some thoughts on that. But back to the Mercury retrograde. It's the first retrograde of 2025. And if you're in Aries, it's definitely the time to not make crazy business decisions, but definitely to be thinking about them, so that when we move out of this space, you have a clear head and a little bit more clarity. Don't be reactive, Aries sign. But it's also just a key time for all of us to ensure that we avoid running into issues the rest of the season. The sun is coming out. I just always think of the Disney movies, Bambi, where the bunnies and the birds are coming out. Things are getting exciting, but don't be so quick to jump into relationships, to jump into new opportunities. You have manifested, which brings me to another topic of today that I wanted to talk about, is karma. You have created this karma and everything that's coming at you. So still don't get so caught up in things. Don't grip so tightly to one way. Make sure that we come in like yogis and take a pause, like I did between season 3 and season 4, and make clear decisions, guys. The Mercury retrograde is with us until April 7th. So it's not like walking on eggshells. It's walking with listening. We have 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason. So we need to listen. We need to watch and perceive and look at different sides of the coin before we speak, before we react. All of this is really helpful in this time period. So more of a recap. It's always a running recap. Last week, literally a week ago, I ran the 5K. I was doing the fundraising for the Million Mile Project, raising money for individuals who not only are recovering from substance use disorder and other mental health issues, is what the Million Mile Project does, but we were being specific this year, and we were focusing on giving the fundraising, and we're sponsoring people who also lost their homes and their things in the LA fire. So us raising money for this race with the LA Marathon event is enabling somebody to get a new bed. And there's a lot of rebuild that's still going on in LA. So I didn't run the half, I didn't run the full, which literally even at West Hollywood Run Club this week, Hannah, I've got beef with you. Hannah gave a shout out to everyone who ran the marathon, which they definitely deserve it. But people like me, I was still in the event, I was still supporting, I still raised money, so I was there. I didn't get a medal. Maybe they were passing them out at the end and I just missed mine, but I didn't get a medal. But I had to work right after. So the reason I'm bringing this up is during this race, again, it was just a 5K, but 5K before breakfast is kind of a big deal. I was like all the way in downtown, ran a whole race home, made myself breakfast, got cute, and worked 8 hours. Like, that's kind of a baddie move right there. But during this race, I got so emotional. I think that's the thing that I do resonate with running. As much as I love to say I hate running, like clearly I don't. I'm always running. Like, I go to run club every week. I meet at the Pink Wall with all my friends. But I was just reminded of my story and how much I used to run as a kid. So if you're like bored or looking for new hobbies this season, just think back about what you did as a kid and start doing more of those things, which for me was definitely always running. I always connected with running in like the mental and emotional body. Obviously it's really physical. Like I literally would like be mad or angry or uncomfortable at home and I would run away, but I also used it as a way to clear my head in college, you know, after college. Like I can remember all the beaches I ran on in my life, and all these memories and nuggets were coming back to me about my relationship with running, and then just my reason for running this race and how grateful I am for the people who were a part of my story growing up and were lending helping hands to Julie and I, and to my older sister Sarah, who didn't grow up with us and lived in Pennsylvania, also getting support because our loved ones weren't able to take care of us and we needed support. And that's what the Million Mile Project has been there for me. When another loved one I was surrounded in a situation with substance use disorder of someone that I loved, and the Million Mile Project was there for me mentally and emotionally, just like running. But anyway, we have 24 more hours to get any last donation, so I've dropped the link into the show notes if you guys want to help fundraise. But I just think physical activity is just such a great way. Like in yoga, that's like the first layer of our body. So if you can find something like running or yoga or boxing or Pilates, or it's tennis and pickleball season, like get into your body physically, because it will start to help you shed some layers and get into the different bodies, the emotional and the mental body. Like I was running and then like just seeing the sun rise and being just like that confidence was coming into me of like how cool I was for like being a part of this event, and all the energy around me, it got me opened up into more of like a spiritual layer where I was feeling really grateful and, you know, grateful to be alive, grateful to be healthy. I ended up being 59th in my age group out of 509 runners. That's pretty cool. I forget like the actual statistic numbers, but I was in the like 11% of like total runners in my age group, so that's pretty cool. So things like this, moving your body, is more than just like being cute and looking good in your clothes. Which, speaking of clothes, I have a partnership with L'Agence, and if you're new to working with me, I am a stylist. That's another hobby I love to do. I'm always talking about cleaning out your closets, because I'm always cleaning out my closet, but also like putting on and getting cute new outfits to do the podcast in, to do life in, dates, brunch, all the things. But ladies, if you haven't checked out L'Agence, please check it out. The 3rd catalog for spring has dropped, and I'm just loving everything. I love the color pops of yellow because it kind of goes with like, it's springtime. Yellow is like the color of the confident solar plexus chakra, where you really get that fun energy of confidence, and confidence plus yellow and happiness equals joy, and that's definitely what we're going for. So ladies, if you're a new client of mine, you get 15% off. I have some select items that are at 25% off right now, which you can't combine if you're a new client. This is a friends and family sale that's good until end of day Monday, so reach out quickly on that one. But if you have shopped with me before, like seriously guys, things are going quick. So if you see something, say something. Okay, so this week at Run Club, to just wrap up the run conversation, I was excited to lead the runners in a stretch and really just like have a pause for a breath. So this is a quick commercial break to take a pause and just make a connection with your breath. You might be driving, you might be working out, you might not be in a spot where you can really close your eyes, drop in. Really feel your lungs fill up on the inhale. And then notice that pause, right? The pause between the inhale and the exhale by holding the breath. And then really feel the release of the exhale. Another big inhale and exhale. We started the run by placing one hand on our heart and one hand on our belly, really rooting our feet into the ground to really feel yourself on Mother Earth, because I wanted everyone to pause real quick and just be in the know and be in the energy of all of us talking less and being still. One of the quotes that inspired this show was, mindfulness is a sense of presence. So with something that's very like fiery and physical, like running, I thought it was really cool that I could be a part of getting the community to take a moment to connect with your breath. So another little big inhale, feeling your lungs and heart expand in your rib cage. And then pausing and exhaling. I hope that felt good. And just remember, like, that's the cool thing about yoga is no matter what you're doing, you can always come back to your breath. So let's see. I was listening to Jay Shetty's latest episode, and he had a guest on. I don't know her name, but it was one of his latest episodes, and apparently she's a comedian, and she has been fired a lot. So of course, I think I'm pretty funny, like I said earlier. But I'm not a comedian, but I also, like, that's always been one of my superpowers. Like, we were talking about what we did as a kid, and my friends, like, when someone would get hurt on the playground, they would be like, "Where's Kadie?" And they would like come find me and hunt me down, and then I would like a superhero wearing a cape, I would come running in, like preparing in my head what the joke was gonna be. So she was talking about that, and I resonated. Apparently she's been fired a bunch of times, but her point, and this is going to be a whole other podcast because like it really resonated with me, obviously, but I kind of wanted to plant the seeds here because first off, if you've been fired, that's another feedback that I need from you guys. Or reach out. I want to hear your stories. Email, DM. Honestly, we can jump on a call. I want to hear your been fired stories. But she was saying it, what being fired is a sense of stardom, because it really, there's so many different whys of why she made that comment. But sometimes, like, when you're a hard worker, you don't leave places that are wrong for you, or sometimes you just don't have the balls to leave a place that's not right for you. And people that are hardworking are stuck in fear and anxiety and worry about what ifs. They get fired from their jobs because that's their way of universe being like, this is not right for you. And I really resonated with that because I've had so many times, like I've probably been fired more than most people, but none of those jobs were really right for me. I think a lot of those jobs were really painful to lose because, you know, my last time that I got fired, well, I guess the last time, because I've been fired twice in the last 3 years, but it was really when I worked for a company for almost 4 years. It was basically 4 years. It was really like the friends and like the discipline of my day, everything changed. But then when I look at my life now and I look at my life then, like it's almost like, yeah, it's a freedom. It was almost like a statement that was made, and like the legacy that I left at that company, like can't be unmatched. I don't even have the energy to match that energy. Like it was just so good. Like that I had already reached the top in that place. Like there was no other level. Like, yeah, I could have made more and had a higher title, but there was nothing there at that moment that was going to elevate me. You know, it was no role that I hadn't done. And that was kind of like the journey that I was on in that period of time. So yeah, if you've been fired, just know, like, you might have a mic on your hand and having a podcast and more time to do things that you love versus having a cool title with a cool paycheck. I think that's all I have for today's episode. I know that you guys love me if you're OGs, and you know that I can be a little random, so I'll just recap all these random thoughts. Don't grip so tightly to something, okay? So be in the flow. be mindful of optical illusions, something that might look crazy, but believe, that could be both on like your limiting beliefs that are holding you back to your crazy wild dream, or, somebody might be doing something really crazy and you're letting it go. Open your eyes. You have 2 eyes and 2 ears for a reason. So take some time to pause and to breathe. Figure out what physical activity that you might have loved as a kid or some creative outlet that you would have loved as a kid and get busy. It's springtime, the color of yellow, confidence, solar plexus. And yeah, donate. I need $700 more to reach my fundraising goal. So literally, people are just sending me their coffee money. So even if it's like $20, $5, $10, like I'll take anything. It's a tax write-off for you guys. I know it's tax season. You guys are gonna love those write-offs when you start to like do your stuff. And that's it. I appreciate you guys. I'm excited about next week. I know I promised that this week was going to be Dr. Ava, but it is next week where my guests start rolling in. I am recording with some cool people the next 2 months. So stay hydrated. And if you have more information about Kangen, because you've done your homework from listening to my past episodes, also reach out. I have been like really like in the weeds of all the water information and like how to spread the message of staying hydrated this season. But I think it really starts with just understanding that energy is water, and this water element in our life is better when it's living. It's healthier for us and our pets when it's living. So stay hydrated this week by getting more information about your Kangen machine and reach out to me about that. I'm working with Justin selling these machines. I'm really interested in the air purifiers, and I'm really interested in the filtration system for the shower that will help alkalize and get pH balance for your water to be more like a beauty water, so you can really take care of your skin and also drink non-toxic, healthy living water this season. So I love you guys. Stay hydrated and have a great first week and weekend of spring. Bye.